Hello, and we're back again, this time inside the Kandoo Equine online training. I want to continue the discussion about the use of the whip. And I said last time that there are different ways of using the whip. The whip can be used as a form of negative reinforcement, or it can be used as a form of punishment. And it doesn't matter how hard you're tapping or hitting the horse, it's the timing that tells you whether you're using it as negative reinforcement or punishment. So I want to go quickly into the training. So go to the home page and then press My Library, if you remember. And once you're there, then go into View Course with the horse training course. Now I want to go all the way to the final page of modules, and on the final page you'll see a module called Resources. So go into Resources. There's various things here, but one of the things down the bottom here is a module called Learning Theory. So click on that. And here you'll find different videos, and they describe the difference between negative reinforcement and negative punishment, positive reinforcement and positive punishment. Now, the use of the whip can be used as negative reinforcement, and the same thing can also be positive punishment. So what I'm going to do is just have a quick look at this negative reinforcement video. Make sure I haven't got any sound on. There we are. So here we've got a horse, and there I'm using pressure with the head down. Did I use something else? Oh, I did. I thought I'd done something else, to be honest with you, but I haven't. That's unfortunate. So let me just discuss with you, not with that video, but I'll use the other video for positive punishment. So negative reinforcement and the whip is used all the time. You know, in my training, I use it really frequently. One of the most common things that most of you will know already is teaching the horse hips to the fence for mounting. So we use negative reinforcement in the form of the whip. What we do is we tap the horse on the hind quarter, and as soon as the horse steps its left foot to the left, we stop tapping, and that's negative reinforcement. So the same thing can be done, you know, tapping the horse again with the whip can be used as positive punishment. Now here I'm going to use it as positive punishment, and again the only difference is about the timing. Here the horse is pawing on the ground, so you can see I'm waiting there until he starts to paw. That's the unwanted behavior, and I'm tapping him on the cannon bone. He's stopped, right, and I stop. So what I'm doing is I'm adding that after he's doing the behavior that I don't want. So punishment makes the behavior less likely to occur in the future, whereas reinforcement makes the behavior more likely to reoccur in the future. So negative reinforcement, because we remove the thing that the horse doesn't want, which is the tapping with the whip on the hip for hips to the fence, we remove that when the horse steps left. It makes the horse more likely to step left in the future. If here, when the horse paws, we tap him on the cannon bone with the whip, it makes that behavior less likely to occur in the future. Okay, so if you've got a racehorse, for example, that's running too slowly, and you wallop it with the whip, that is adding something positive, and it's punishment for moving too slowly. So it's positive punishment. If, on the other hand, you're tapping your horse with the whip and you stop tapping it as soon as it runs faster, then you're using negative reinforcement. The scenario that was in the press recently in social media of an eventing thing, the same thing was happening as happens in racing. So the horse was being hit with the whip. The horse was really tired. It's the end of a cross country, and it couldn't go any faster anyway. So the timing was off, which meant that what might have been thought of as negative reinforcement was actually positive punishment because the timing was wrong. And this last video here discusses the difference of using exactly the same cue. Here I'm using the cue step backwards, and my cue is tapping on the cannon bone with the whip, and that's getting him to step backwards. Now he's right front, and as soon as he steps backwards, I'm going to stop tapping. So I'm tapping, watching that foot step, I stopped. That's negative reinforcement. When I take exactly the same pressure cue and do it when he is pawing at the ground, it becomes, the same thing becomes positive punishment because I'm doing it differently, because the timing is different. I'm doing it, I'm tapping him on the cannon bone after he paws to make that behavior less likely to occur. You can see here with the tapping him to ask him to back up, he's picking that up very quickly. So this behavior is more likely to occur. He can see this pattern. He knows when I pick the whip up that I'm about to start to tap him on the cannon bone. He doesn't want me to do that, so he starts to back up. So a lot of people think of punishment and they think of hurting the horse, but it's not even about that. And a lot of people looked at that thing that was in social media the other day and said he was hitting the horse hard and that was bad. And that is bad. I'm not going to deny that. Absolutely, it's bad. But that's not the reason it's bad. The reason it's bad is because you're using punishment as a horse training tool. And it really isn't a good idea. You know, I mean, punishment shouldn't be really in your toolbox if you can possibly avoid it. And somebody pointed out to me when I said this the other day, they said, oh, well, we use punishment all the time. The electric fence is punishment. And yes, it is. You know, the electric fence is a form of punishment. The horse touches it, gets a nasty shock, and it makes the behavior less likely to occur in the future. However, we aren't really training that. I mean, usually the horse is alone in the paddock and we're not involved with that. The problem with punishment is that it often seems rather random to the horse. It often comes as a surprise to the horse. And so we are then, quite a lot of the time, we're sort of initiating the flight instinct and we're making the horse anxious. When the horse is alone in the paddock and touches the electric fence, it's really got nothing to do with us. So it doesn't come into our training in the same way. And I think there's also a big risk that if you say, oh, well, you know, we shock horses on the electric fence, so, you know, giving them the odd whack with the whip doesn't matter. Well, actually, it really does. So just remember that, you know, if it's punishment or negative reinforcement, does not depend on how hard it is or how hard you hit the horse with the whip. It depends entirely on the timing. And really, when you're using a whip tap like this, there's not necessary for it ever to be any more severe than this. I'm barely touching him. What I'm trying to do is to get him to respond to something that's maybe more annoying than anything else. I certainly don't want to hurt the horse. I certainly don't want to raise his emotional level more than necessary. And I don't want to introduce pain into my training. So there we are. That's it for today. And I will talk to you tomorrow with Throwback Thursday. Bye.